The other day for Halloween, I was diving into some Google haunted places and ancient places that they had because I always like to see what Google highlights whenever they do a specialty kind of thing like that. And they highlighted this place, Palais Garnier, the Opera House of Paris, named after Garnier, the architect, the so-called architect. But again, if you know me and you've been watching this, I am shedding a lot of doubt on this because it was supposedly built in 1860s to like 1870 or something, they say, but then you see the progress that happens in 1 year and you're like, nah, that doesn't make sense. Not much of it makes sense again. And if you've ever been listening to all these stories that we've been digging up, guess how they came about the design? If you guessed contest, you were right on the money. A contest of 170 different architects, and they ended up picking Charles Garnier, who only had one other thing under his belt at some place in Monaco, which is actually also very impressive and guaranteed to be not his. So they glorify the architect again. They do all this thing, the contest, and boom, this is them in the drafting room. This is the proof that they did it. But I love how they always never show the construction team that did it. I find that very interesting as well. And there's also a lake, a big cistern, a lake, a lagoon, something underneath the palace. And the size of the blocks are inhuman, giant, massive. But this is the construction photo they give you where they say, oh, all of that was built now. All of that. All the palace, everything was built during this time. It started like this. Look at all the buildings around it. And then it looks like this in 1866. They got the scaffolding around it. And then in look, it looks like nothing. There's nothing there, just skeleton of a building. And then boom, a year later, same exact thing, all done. No mention of the construction team, no mention of the artists, no mention of anything, just the architect, the guy who drew the plans. That's all you need to know. Remember that, because it's a total lie. And then boom, all of this amazing art. Look at this immaculate art everywhere. Ancient, clearly, all different kinds of themes from Greece, from everywhere, all over history. Thousands of year old themes, mythologies, tons of different things. And then boom, a part by Marc Chagall, which is, I think, what they were capable of at the time. Absolute garbage. It looks like a stick figure, charcoal crap. Disgusting compared to everything else. But that was the time. And so they try to pass it off and make you not think that there's a difference between Chagall's skill and that of the ancients, but there's a massive gap. And so they have all these plans that you can see. But how do we know, is what I've been wondering, how do we know that these plans were created? There's a big difference between a plan of an architect that's created or something that's drawn from an existing building. This would be impossible to draw without the building being there. That would be absolutely astounding to draw something so precise and so angled and so detailed. Maybe it can be done, but you have to be extremely creative. And so I think they just reversed the plans. They had these buildings out and they're like, let's draw up some plans to pretend that we created this, pretend that we were the ones that did this. But in actuality, you're just going around and documenting the entire building, what it looks like, the structure, the overview, your team, your architectural team out of 171. And that's what you're going to get, and you're going to get the credit. We're going to name this place after you. That's what I think happened. Again, I'm not positive. This is just a theory of mine. It's just the vibe I'm getting. But I look at that and I say that is in no way made in the 1860s. It looks so much more ancient, like things you'd see all over Russia, all over Europe. They would be dated way farther deeper. And this is the most interesting part, the lake underneath it. Look at the size of the blocks and look at the things, look at the tunnels, and then knowing what you know of Paris, the catacombs, all those things. They always tell you what's built on the top and when the top was built. But in order to build the top, you have to build the bottom. And look at these. This has the giant concrete blocks on the side with tons of bricks at the top, angled, arched over. So it's almost even looks like several different times of construction, several different periods. And they've got the vents going up. They've got all this thing. Oh yeah, this is normal. We wanted water underneath. Oh, and the story is they tried the steam boilers and all this stuff, and they couldn't get the water out in order to build. So they just kind of turned it into a cistern. But it's like, I don't believe that. Then how did you, again, build the structure? How did you build with there being water there? So all of it, again, leads towards it being ancient. Look at the size of those bricks. How would they do that? How would you get those blocks there by any means like any horse or anything. Those are absolutely massive and giant blocks, and they were in nowhere near the construction photos. So again, I propose that this whole thing was built a long time ago. And then after that reset in the 1800s, whatever the heck was going on, when Paris had the massive fairs and they had all this amazing technology and all these incredible buildings that they were showing off, I think that they were all from a past previous civilization, and these guys were reclaiming them in their names. And they decided to give their buddy Marc Chagall a little room to paint on, to do his little scribbles and chicken scratch on. But other than that, this is severely ancient. This could have had so many different purposes. This, like anything, traveling, how far do they go? We don't know. Do they connect to the catacombs? Who knows? Like, but are they just there to store water? I don't think so. It doesn't look like they're drinking that water. I think they probably even might have flooded it in order to stop people from going deeper, or to stop people from even going into it in general. You can just release a little water going into it, break a pipe or create a canal or something. Who knows? But either way, they are hiding something massive under this palace, because there's no need for an opera house to have anything like this below it, but it does. And there's the outside, immaculate, crafted by Garnier. Nope. You'll get to see one of the pictures shows all the different things, and this is kind of cool because it has the plans on it. But again, that could be from any time period. All of these things. It still blows my mind, though, how the architects get all the credit, like to the point where this is named after him, Palais Garnier or whatever. Like, but who? So that guy just draws. The architect just draws it. This is quite amazing. Look at all the mythology and ancient things there. So the guy Garnier would have to be an expert in that as well. And in general, he'd have to hire sculptors. Like, who are the names of all these sculptors? Who are the names of the people who designed all the other parts, all the patterns? There's no way that Garnier guy did all of this, or at any time did all of this, that any one person could have done this. There would have to be a massive construction team to do this, a team of, like, a company that would go around building buildings like this, and then they would be amazingly known. They would be notorious for being able to create something so amazing in a year, but we never hear about them. You never hear about the builders. You only hear about the person who draws, and that is a complete fraud. It's not only unfair to the people that created, but it is a sign that they are hiding a ton, because you just can't do that. They have to have known who these people were. And all of these things like this, the bus, these different dates and the musicians, that can all be added later. It's easy to spice up stuff and add little things, change text here and there, sandblast something, and then change the writing on it, or cover a painting up with something else, or hide things or whatever. But there's certain things you can't destroy, and that is a massive building, and they can't destroy it. So they had to repurpose it, rehistory it, remake it into something that it never was. And so I think entertainment is one of their ways of hiding the true use of these places in ancient civilizations. And they could have been a lot of different things. There's no telling. Could have been a healing zone. Could have been a transportation hub with those underground tunnels. It could have been anything. We have no idea, and I don't claim to know. All I know is they're lying about the origins. Look at how old that is. Absolutely astounding. At the same time, you drive by places around everywhere, every state in New England at least, you see houses, 1860, everything's made out of wood. 1800s house, oh, here it is, made out of wood. But yet they were making these palaces. It seems to come from a different race of beings, because we are just not at this level to create things like this. Although I do find it impressive that there was a ridiculous Hindu temple being built in New Jersey that is somewhat comparable, not totally, but still pretty impressive. And it takes hundreds and thousands of people from all over the world in order to do it. And those people are known. They're kind of known even in today, like this team of workers and holy sacred workers that does this stuff. And when they create these ancient temples and they recreate them nowadays, they follow an ancient construction recipe. And who's to say that these buildings that we see, these immaculate buildings, didn't have also some kind of divine formula associated with them that has the flow be perfect, the metals all in harmony, the structure in harmony, everything from the ground to the top so that it is almost indestructible. All these ancient formulas for creating these beautiful buildings, which are all over the realm, are disguised and belittled by saying, oh, a bunch of architects did it and this guy did it, as opposed to all these other ancient religions that do these amazing temples and huge buildings, and it's clearly designed by people of the past and of the ancient superior races. But things change and they lie to cover up the beauty in the mastery. And look at this. That is amazing. It's like the Hermitage in Russia. It's like all different buildings all over the place. I absolutely love this painting and the colors. Extremely vivid. Why would you even want Marc Chagall's filth in this place? And again, the Opera Hall with the amazing dome. And again, could that be that could be a whole story. There could have been a tech there at some point. Some kind of powerful tech in the middle of that. That's been long gone. There could have been anything. Sound, healing, electricity, ether, power, just things that we can't even fathom. I have no idea. But again, I could be wrong, so I'm sorry if I am wrong, but this seems a little fishy to me. So I wanted to bring it all up to you guys and get your thoughts out there. And especially when it comes to that underneath and the catacombs everywhere. Even underground tunnels in Gaza are being crushed. There is an underground world all over this realm. And the secrets lie in there, underneath there, and in unopened chambers all throughout the labyrinth of this world, in this underworld. So I hope we get to find it. I hope we continue to find things. And I hope one day that all of this thought and all of this research that we're all doing leads to a renaissance of archaeology where people just start digging. Governments are like, let's find more. Let's find treasure. Let's find out about our past. There needs to be a huge wave of people wanting to learn this stuff so that we can create a wave of people getting to find the answers. And I hope it comes, because I am not satisfied with these lies and the same story, the contest. Oh, ha ha ha, a little contest. Then, and all of a sudden you get this massive building with no credit to anyone. None of the artists get credit. No one. Except Chagall. Garbage. Well, either way, let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoyed this. So have a great evening, and bless you all.